In the last call of the year, I'd like to invite Sean to come up and do the land acknowledgement before we get started. Welcome, Sean.
Hi, everyone. My name's Sean. I am from Aurora Heat. We are an Indigenous and woman-led company based in Fort Smith, Canada. It's way, way up north, and we make natural and reusable hand and foot warmers with sheer beaver fur up there, and employ Indigenous women paying living wage hire. I was asked to give an intro to Aurora Heat as well. This is the first time doing a land acknowledgement for me, for so many people, so I'm quite nervous. I might close my eyes. I am here in what we know today is as Vancouver, Canada, on the unceded territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and Squamish people. I would like to give acknowledgement to these people, gratitude and recognition for all of the knowledge and understanding that these people have gained for thousands and thousands and thousands of years in living with harmony in this land. And I would also like to acknowledge that my ancestors came to this land and unknowingly inherited land of these people. And it's an honor to be here to recognize and also be in work that I hope can make things a little bit better here. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sean, and thanks for doing that. I know it's uncomfortable when you do that for the first time, so thanks for practicing with us. We really appreciate it. So, hey, everyone, we have a full agenda today. We're going to talk about the numbers. So, summary of the year, how we did with the numbers, moving from the individual to the collective, the real theme for this year. And so we're going to hear from Danielle and others about that. We're going to do a venture spotlight with a really special story to share with everyone. We're going to do a partnership spotlight and then community highlights, and then we're going to practice gratitude together and get into breakout groups for a little bit. So welcome, and I'm going to pass it on to Danielle. Dane, come on down.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see you on our final call of the year, and we have so much to celebrate. Nat is going to pull up a slide with all of the numbers that we're going to be sharing for the year. And so this year, 2022, by the numbers, we circulated nearly $14 million in funding globally. This is our community's capital circulating across all of the Coralus ventures in 5 different regions. We operate in 5 different currencies, so this number is actually rolled up in Canadian conversion. $11.8 million of that is in 0% interest loans. So you can see the breakdown in each country on the chart. 5.9 million in Canada, 3.6 million in the US, 1 million in New Zealand, 825K in Australia, and 500K in the UK. This money is flowing to the ventures to create massive spillover benefits into society, as we've seen in our impact report, where each venture is working towards the UN SDGs. So the chart we have displayed here is quite static. We pulled it around last month. And one thing that I want to share with everyone is that the actual number in circulation is always dynamic because our fund is always flowing forward. So if you can imagine these numbers actually changing throughout the year as capital flows in perpetuity, as ventures pay back each quarter, the number in circulation changes. And as we introduce new selected ventures and new loans in our portfolio, at least twice a year we do this, we increase this number drastically. You'll also see that we distributed 2.1 million in perpetual funds to 6 ventures this year. The perpetual fund is a low interest short-term fund that is a bridging loan that's available by application to our current ventures only. Ventures have used this perpetual fund as nourishment of capital for all sorts of use cases, like bridging for purchase orders and inventory, as well as just short-term injections of cash flow. And finally, we want to celebrate having presented 60 learning sessions in the North and the South. And these were opportunities for the community to convene on different topics like mindset, systems, ventures, and finance. We introduced a learning track series in the first half of 2022, and then we continued with monthly mindset and entrepreneurial tracks. If you join one of these, please let us know in the chat. I'm sure many of you have enjoyed them. If you had a chance to attend one of these sessions, let us know if there was a moment or a highlight in particular that you loved about our learning sessions this year. We're going to be sharing snippets of these learnings throughout, and we'll continue celebrating stories from the community as opportunities to connect in the coming year. So speaking of stories, I'm going to move us into our first section, which is from the individual to the collective. And in case you missed it, we did change our name this year. We embarked on the big process of changing our name. And if you weren't here in the beginning of the year, one of the first things we did is we put it to a community vote earlier on in the year. And the results from that vote were inconclusive. The community didn't love any of the names that we were signaling to change into. And so we took it back to the drawing board. And what that meant was a group of over 20 community members were dedicated in weekly calls where we were brainstorming and we were sensing our way forward. And I just want to thank everybody for trusting us in this process. I am not a brand expert by any means. And this was really something where there was no blueprint. We were just making it up as we went along, and it took the community coming together to trust in that messy process and to sense our way forward. So we really all gathered with an open mind, the spirit of the values, and the essence that we wanted the new name to capture. I see a couple of you on the call who are part of the New Name Collective, so thank you so much for all of the work and all of the trust that you put into this process. From there, the name really revealed itself, and the way forward showed itself to us as we looked forward to to the theme of nature. So Coralus is a name that combines coral and us, and it takes inspiration from the coral reefs that are the megastabilizers in the ocean that make up 1% of ocean life, yet sustain 25% of it. And they act in community, they act in combination with one another. And it really helped us to signal yet again the nature of the process we undertook moving from the individual, SheEO, to the collective with Coralus. So we're really proud of this evolution, and I want to pass it over to Tasha, who's a big part of this effort in sharing your perspective with the community as well.
Did you just, my internet is really glitchy. Did you pass
Yes,
the mic?
over to you. We'd
You
love
might
to have
have
your
to go
perspective on how this went for you.
Oh my God. I'm in New York, the internet, even inside of it, is really spotty. So I hope I'm broadcasting. this- what an incredible experience going through that was. Everyone is frozen, so I'm hoping that this is still happening. You might have to come back to me. Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah, a process unlike any other I had been through. Certainly could not have done it without one, Vicky's absolute trust in the team and in the process, and then the community as well, trusting in the process, being okay with differences of opinion, and working through them together, which is kind of how stuff gets done. If we all agreed on everything, it'd be a pretty uninteresting community, I think. But also for Danielle for her leadership during this, and for serving as basically my interpreter in an unprecedented process, which again, I had never been through before, something like this. So Coralus is a community of vanguards and forward-thinking people. So I'm not surprised that it was the first time anybody had actually attempted like this, like crowdsourcing the organization. So it was a really fascinating process, and I just, again, the trust of the community extended was really remarkable and incredibly inspiring. And I've actually brought some of that back to some of my own clients that didn't think something like that could be done. So the ripple effect of the process is that I now have a example that I can show clients who may think something like this could fail. And of course it could, but will it? Probably not if you set it out with the right intention and the right, guidelines and the right structure. So again, it's putting things into practice first through this community and then spreading it out to the rest of the universe. It happens over and over again, and this was no, so I need to be part of it. It was incredibly fun. Back to you, Danielle. passing the
Thank
mic.
you, Tasha. And if you ever do have other organizations looking to do this, let us know. It is interesting to be able to share from this experience, really moving from the individual to the collective. I'm going to pass it over to Nat to talk about Confluence. We usually do a summit where we collect all of the sessions and information, but we really pass it on to the community this time around. Over to you.
Thanks, Danielle. I just wanted to do another huge shout out to Tasha, who shepherded this process, agreed to step into some of the mess and the madness with us, and really helped us. And I know many of you who were part of that collective are on this call. So thanks each of you for your time in that. Part of what we learned from doing this new name collective together and having many voices come in and share was that this community is filled with diverse and fascinating people who have many different interests, and they want to share those skills and talents. So we, instead of doing our traditional in-person summit, did Confluence this year. Confluence, the place where two rivers meet, where different community members come together, create something different, and work together to have over 30 different community facilitators run sessions on all kinds of different topics that they were fascinated about for the community at large. I am going to pass it to Jenna, who was one of our amazing session facilitators, to tell us a little bit more about her experience. Jenna, over to you.
Hi, Natalie. Thank you. And hi, everybody. My name is Jenna Clockley, and I just passed my first year as an activator with Coralus, and I'm very excited for that. I live and work on the unceded and unsurrendered lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, OG Cree, Dakota, and Dene people, and home to the Métis Nation covered in Treaty 1, colonially known as Winnipeg, Manitoba. And as Nat said, I've been asked to share my experience with Confluence, and I was honored to even be able to be chosen to host a session on dismantling the gender wage gap. It was unlike any other conference that I've ever participated in, and it felt like an opportunity to bring attention to the areas of life and living that we as a community felt the most value in. Just like Natalie said, we were able to choose our own topics and facilitate those conversations. And it really highlighted our collective greatness and how within the collective and the individuals that make up the collective, we have the answers to the world's to-do list, and together we can really pull them out. And that's where working with the Greater Than team really helped. We learned as hosts for our sessions, we learned over 4 sessions with the Greater Than team, the methods and tools, not only to bring people along in our thought process, but to pull those solutions out of the group and the conversations that we were having. We used different active listening tools and facilitation tools, and we were trained in wonderful digital tools that are available for free to everyone to be able to pull out conversations and pull out people's thoughts without any barriers to their interaction or their full self-expression. And even the conference itself mimicked the new name of Coralus as we all weaved and connected our events together. Like no two were the same. And it was just like nothing I've ever experienced or no other conference I've been to. And, you know, for me, it was an opportunity to share a global platform that Coralus has built and to highlight a key issue that, you know, is important to me and my own advocacy and activism work, which is bringing more money into the hands of women. And this session, I got to focus on the gender wage gap and really go deep on, you know, why does it still exist? And I had large names to me participate in this event and like bring their 2 cents to the conversation. So it was really powerful just for me personally to have that opportunity, to have that experience and to be able to, yes, oh, Janelle's here. Oh, thank you. Thanks for noting that. One of the panelists, just such amazing people bringing their ideas and, you know, practicing our ask, give opportunities. I had to go and ask people I didn't know if they would participate with me in these sessions. So it was really practicing all of the things that we have here at Coralus. So thank you for the opportunity to share that. I hope I hit on the head what it was really like.
Awesome. I'm going to jump right in. Thank you very much, Jenna. And I just want to underline and thank everyone again for being in this big experiment together where we get to literally try and do things the opposite of how they're done in the world. And a very special thank you to everybody who made it possible for me to step away for 5 months. I can't tell you the number of emails I've gotten from people who are like, oh, I booked my sabbatical. I'm going to take a sabbatical. If you took a sabbatical, I can take a sabbatical. And so thank you very much for all of that. And like, it was so great to take that trust fall and come back to a new container and have to shift myself to figure out how to move from the individual to the collective. So the name has been a really big gift to me, and I'm very grateful for all of this. Okay, Patrice, come on up. We're going to share a pretty special story today, which again is in opposite land experience to what is going on in the rest of the world, around a founder journey that we've heard a lot about degrowth. We've heard a lot about what's not working in existing models. And Patrice is going to share a story today, which is about going from having investors in your company to actually owning the company 100% yourself. And pretty interesting transformation. So hi, hon, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
So good. So there are some people here who probably don't know who you are. So I wonder if you could just back it up a bit. Who are you? Do you remember what it was like when you came into the community? And then take us to where you are now.
Okay. First off, I'm Patrice Musso. I'm Ojibwe out of Fort William First Nation, born and raised in Sioux Lookout, and currently residing on the Tsleil-Waututh Reserve in North Vancouver. My company is Satya Organics. I was in the second cohort at the year after this started, which thank God some of the first cohort told me to keep applying because I didn't make it the first year. And Coralus has become my family. The support and community that I've gotten from, I would not be where I am today. I would not be standing up where I am today, if not for this amazing group of people. And sometimes when I was laying down, I wouldn't be been able to, like literally laying down. I remember the time Richard and Vicky were like, you're going to have a nap, because I couldn't stop crying, like that's the kind of care you get from family. And so that's what this is to me. So I'm really glad that you're all here in community with me as well. This is my first business, and I didn't know, still learning so much about how business is done or supposed to be done. And so I'm coming from it, and I also used to be a journalist. So I'm kind of like, I try to figure out what's right and what's wrong, right? And one of the things that came up was that you can get money from people, but then they own part of your company. And then eventually what ends up happening is you're working for them for the rest of your life. Maybe you're not getting a wage per se, but you're always going to be beholden to them, which was okay. But then I was thinking, you start your business early on, and then in some instances, you get people who are putting in a relatively small amount of money. Like I went on Dragon's Den and they wanted 20% of my company for $120,000, which of course I said yes on the show, but no, absolutely not later. It's like they're getting so much for so little from all of us when we're so vulnerable. We need resources, we need support. We don't know necessarily how this whole venture capital thing works. And it seems like this is the way that business is done, but it didn't sit right with me. Yeah. So then time went on, and I did need some money at one point for, I think it was inventory. I can't remember right now. I did need to get some money, but I was approached by a venture capital company who was actually Indigenous, and that made me feel more comfortable. I thought that I could, try it out with them and trust in the process. There's definitely good and definitely bad in that scenario. And so I knew that I wanted to not have anybody on my cap table. I didn't want to have to answer to anyone. I wanted to have, and if I were ever to do it, I wanted to have been a partnership with someone who was a true partner, not just bringing money in. Money is great, but what you really, I know you've heard this before, but it's so true. Like, you need people who actually know your industry and know who you are and what your values are, and if they're aligned to be a part of your company. Like, just taking money is such a bad idea. Like, dear God, like, sell your liver, do whatever you need to do to get, you know, some capital or a loan or whatever before you go to these quote unquote easy money, because it is the most expensive capital you'll ever get in your whole life. So I was like, I want to get out. And then I was talking to Vicky about this, and then she introduced me, well, actually to someone that I knew already, who I'd loved. And actually we connected on earrings. We had the same taste in jewelry. And it turns out that she thought the same sort of thing. So, I was able to put some money in from the company, a good chunk. But I was also able to find a way to access some capital through this very kind.
She's going to come up in a minute.
Okay, I didn't know if I should say her name or what, but
Yeah.
And obviously has fantastic taste in jewelry and earrings, person, and we were able to make it happen. Yeah, and it was not easy in that I had made the plan to do this deal early in the spring, and then when they saw my financials, they were like, "Oh, I don't want to do it anymore," and so I had to use my connections and my influence to make sure that they didn't go back on their word and go through that deal, which to their credit they did. But yeah, it also made me think, like, I was so lucky that I had the power and the people that I could reach out to for help. And a lot of us don't too. There's a huge power imbalance in these situations. Yeah.
I jump in?
Sorry?
Mind if I jump in?
Oh, yes, sure.
Cool.
Sorry,
So I just want to highlight, in case people don't, like, this is like a really impossible thing that happened. So Patrice got equity investment into her company from a VC. And it wasn't working because of a bunch of different things. The milestones that get set, the pressure to grow, to have to scale, given all of that was happening during COVID too, such a hard time. And so she went to one of our activators. And Bella, do you want to come up? Can we bring you up on stage here? Yeah, I'm going to get overglimped here. Annabelle, thanks. Hi.
Hi.
This is like literally a totally impossible thing that only happens when you're in deep relationship with one another, and you want to do the right thing with your capital to create the conditions for the kind of world you want to live in, and you want to support founders. And so Bella has basically loaned Patrice the money to unwind her venture capital deal, so she owns 100% of her company again and can grow it at her pace. So just a woohoo. Thank you so much, Annabelle, for doing that. Just incredible. Dragonfly Ventures. And and please don't like hit her up to do this. This is not a thing that we're creating here. I just want to share this story as a possibility that exists in the world when you get into deep relationships. So Annabelle, why did you do this?
So Patrice and I met at your place, actually, Vicky, at, I think it was the event that you hosted at your house after, Patrice was awarded her loan dollars through formerly SheEO, Coralus, and we connected really well. And just about a year ago, I remember, Vicky, you reached out and said, Patrice wants her business back. Would you consider this opportunity? And I said, sure, like, let's start talking. So it was just an opportunity to help Patrice, because she was very, very clear. And so originally, what I did was set up a call with her, and Wendy Cooper also is my co-CEO at Dragonfly Ventures. She's here too, watching. But we had a conversation with Patrice, and we did a little bit of a meditation moment. And I was like, Patrice, like, you know, connect yourself to the land with through your feet, etc. We did this sort of meditation, and I said, what is it that you want? And she was very, very clear. And she said, I want my business back. I want agency over my company, and, you know, for myself and for my daughter. And that never wavered. And it was just so important to me to help Patrice get that back. You know, as a woman entrepreneur, bottom line, there was no question for me. So that conversation was a year ago, and Patrice has now got her company back. So Wendy and I are extremely proud of being able to help her in that process.
Thanks, Annabelle. And I do just want to say, like, this is one of the remarkable things that is possible here. Just this one thing this year is huge. And I don't want to be knocking venture capital. I mean, I sort of do, but really this idea that you can, you don't know really what the implications are of certain forms of capital until you have them. And then you're like, uh-oh, that's not really what I wanted. And sometimes it's hard to know these things. Like, I remember when I was talking to Annabelle, she said, if I'd known that, we would have done something different at the beginning. But Patrice didn't know at the beginning of her journey that what the implications of that were. You didn't know. Like, we have to learn this together. So to be able to unwind and to be constantly iterating on these things, to create systems and structures that are that flexible, are really important in this uncertain time. So I want to thank you both. Thank you for sharing, Patrice. Thank you for being in the world, Annabelle, and thank you, Wendy, out there. We're going to move to the next thing, but I know this could have its own session, but thank you very, very much for sharing today.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to pass to Janaki. Janaki Partnerships, over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Janaki Hadida. I use pronouns she, her. I'm calling in today from Jojage, what's now known as Montreal on the ancestral Mohawk territory. I'm so happy to see all of your faces. I get the huge privilege to be able to work and collaborate and build with partnering organizations of the Coralus ecosystem. And this past year was just a wonderful, incredible year, and really wanted to share a couple of anecdotes from it. One major piece that we recently crunched the numbers on is that since 2020, we have been working with organizations that have been gifting in activators. They have been gifting them in entrepreneurs or members of their team into the Coralus ecosystem. And since 2020, 5 of our regions have committed to gifting in 1,000 activators, which is absolutely unbelievable. There's so many wonderful folks. I see many faces that are on the call today that have come through these organizations and whom we've met. And so they choose, some of these organizations may choose to provide additional content to some of these activators. We bring them together as cohorts, and then they may choose to share some information around commerce, e-commerce, or exporting, or financial business management, and so on. And so we're so grateful for all of these groups for having participated. And through this process, we've not only experienced valuable support from the partners sharing the knowledge and removing barriers, but we've also seen entrepreneurs who haven't yet heard about Coralus, who've come in as activators, have then applied to become ventures, and who have been selected. So ventures like Mahala Eyewear in Hawaii and Aurora Heat over in Northwest Territories, who both were gifted in from Shopify. So I just wanted to show a really quick slide of all of the folks who've come in this past year. You can see my screen. So a big special thank you to these organizations: Shopify, PNC Bank, RBC, Export Development Canada, UBS, and TD, who have gifted in hundreds of activators this past year in 2022, the majority of whom are incredibly passionate entrepreneurs, some who you have met, and if you have not yet or seen them on Slack, please do give them a big, big welcome in. I also wanted to take the opportunity to share a wonderfully growing relationship that's a really beautiful demonstration of power with and how 1 + 1 continuously equals 3. And that's with our US-based PNC Bank partner. You have probably come into contact with some of the folks from the organization and wanted to storytell a little bit there. So we met Beth Marcello, who's the Director of Women's Business Development at PNC Bank, in 2021, and she learned about Coralus through Lisa Tepper, who a number of you know, who's a longtime activator based in New York. And Beth learned about it. She Googled us, as you do. She saw Sherry Griffiths in a video, who's another activator from BMO in Canada, and reached out to her, asked some more questions, and then she decided to activate. And so she started paying attention, joining calls, really learning about the impact that we're having together as a community and learning about our ventures. And so we got on a call, started talking about what would be possible, and talked about their PNC Project 257 initiative, which was all about accelerating women's financial equality, and realized that we were a perfect fit to be able to partner together. So we kicked off this 3-year partnership as of last year, and they contributed $1.257 million towards Coralus. They made that announcement first online on an internal event, and they had 3,000 of their PNC women business advocates join this call alongside their leadership, Vicki and myself. They then followed by gifting in 60 members of their team from almost every single state across the country, who were all nominated. And they showed up as activators who were so excited and proud of this partnership. They collaborated on in-person events. I know in Seattle, there's been some events. They joined panels and talked about our work. They went and bought and supported products from ventures. They talked about it to their clients and encouraged people to become activators. And they really promoted the US venture applications, so much so that 30% of all venture applications in the US directly referenced PNC as how they heard about it, which is just incredible. So all these people on the ground activated by this partnership. And if anybody is on the call today from PNC Bank, some of the activators, thank you so much for your absolute incredible enthusiasm and support. And so the energy of this cohort and the bank then rippled deeply throughout the entire organization. And after our round 2, where we shared out who the semifinalists were, they did this simulated vote with their entire organization and had 4,500 team members vote on which ventures they would want to select themselves. And the way they did this is they had individual people that each story told every single one of the venture semifinalists and why you should vote for them. So 4,500 people vote on all of these, which is unbelievable. And then we saw in March how Remark Glass was then selected. So they became one of the ventures, and they directly referenced PNC, the PNC network, as how it is that they heard about Coralus, which was really excited. So it's just a wonderful demonstration of how we can activate partnerships across whole organizations. Over the past few months, we got to actually meet Beth and Megan Gilson, who I know is on the line, who's the experience manager for women business development at PNC. And we connected both in Montreal and in Toronto at Vicky's place, and brainstormed how it is that we can go even deeper together and how we can grow this relationship even more. And they committed to gifting in 257 more activations in line with Project 257. And so of that, 200 are entrepreneurs that'll be gifted in over 2 years. And the remaining 57 are activators, again, from their team from coast to coast. So if you're in the US and you're new to the ecosystem, there is for sure at least another activator that's in your area. And then just a couple weeks ago, we welcomed in the first 100 entrepreneurs, and it's just been absolutely unbelievably energizing to hear these women and non-binary folk explain their business and the passion that they have, and then already starting to witness how they're resourcing each other. So big, huge thank you to PNC Bank. And then Meg, if we can get you to pop up here. I know they had an event at the exact same time. There you are.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just wanted to give the opportunity for you to share anything.
Oh, thank you, Janicky. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on the call today. So excited to be here and talk about PNC's partnership with Coralus for a moment. And thanks for highlighting us, Janaki. Looking at that slide, I am just like warm and fuzzy and so excited about things to come as well. But just to talk a little bit more about why this relationship is so meaningful to PNC. Our women's business development work is not new. So we've been at this for over 20 years in supporting women financial decision makers across our footprint. But with the advent of Project 257, which Janaki mentioned, and it was one of the milestones on our timeline, so Project 257 was born after the World Economic Forum's 2020 Global Gender Gap Report came out. And that report found that if things progress as they have been progressing, that women would not catch up economically to men for 257 more years. And that's stunning. And PNC wanted to do something about that specifically. So we really put a focus on the work that we're already doing. And with our relationship with Coralus, we're directly addressing one of the drivers of that gap, which is unequal access to credit for women. So we've seen, kind of as Janaki mentioned, we've seen our 60 employee activators that we gifted in really engage in a way that we've never been able to see before. We're a big bank, and it's not often that we can activate across our entire footprint in 54 markets. Every market has different priorities and different relationships. So to be able to come together and really support all of the women and non-binary business owners that could occur across our footprint, get the support and the community that Coralus provides, and really kind of experience a partnership in a beautiful way, that doesn't happen very often. So we're so thrilled. Janaki mentioned our newest, I guess, development in the relationship, which is bringing on the 100 entrepreneurs in our PNC and Coralus collective. So much good to come, and we're just thrilled. We're thrilled to be in this partnership with you. So thanks. I see Janaki, Vicky, Nat, I think Finn's on. I'm not sure who else from Coralus is there, but just thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Meg. Just adore all of you so much. And one of my favorite things was when we heard them say, we don't talk and spend, we act and deliver. And we're just like, yes, that's what we want. And just so much beautiful action has gone towards, building this ecosystem and supporting women and non-binary entrepreneurs. So big thank you to you. And then for all of our partners for their huge generosity, and those who haven't been a part of our cohort program, Future Skills Center and Women's Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub and the Government of Canada, Criterion, and many, many more. And just to echo what Vicky put in the chat, being able to receive also an introduction from an activator is one of the most natural ways for us to be able to build relationship, because you already understand who it is that we are and what it's like to participate in the ecosystem. And so we'll put my email in the chat. If there's anybody that you would love to see us be more in relationship with, please do reach out. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Janaki, and thanks, Meg. It's so special to hear about how these partnerships are built. And I think they really speak to one of the big themes that we're highlighting on the call today, which is this idea of moving from individual to community. How in times like this, do we turn to each other? Do we work together? And do we create a stronger ecosystem together by supporting one another? And this year we really did that through a number of ways. We started with the New Name Collective. We got this sense that people really wanted to be in relationship with one another. We did the Know Our Community project, where we had over 350 phone calls made to activators in our community, learning more and more about what people wanted. And we really got this sense that people wanted an opportunity to learn, to connect, and to have meaningful purpose together. It's how Confluence came about. It's really how we've stepped into this turning into community. And we've seen this happen in a couple of really remarkable places and really remarkable ways this year. So I am going to invite up a couple of activators to talk about the ways that they have brought community together and built community in their own physical locations and also virtual worlds. And we're going to start with Carly. Carly, going to bring you up. Carly is has been organizing hikes for the Coralus community out in Vancouver all year. Carly, over to you.
G'day. I can see Farron laughing at me. But I thought, since I do the hikes and this is the hat that I usually wear, if you've seen the photos, I would don the hat today. My wife is an Aussie and I am coming to you, and our hikes are hosted on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. Typically they are in North Van, in and around Lynn Valley. I started the hikes during the pandemic because I am a raging extrovert, and one of my top values is intimacy, which sounds really weird when you say it in a corporate room, for sure. Some of my clients, you see them sit back, but truly, I love being in physical space with other folks, because there is just such a deeper connection and understanding. And you can, I mean, I learned how to read a room in a Zoom box, but there's nothing like being able to read a room when you're in physical space with people. And one of the things that Vicki and I had been talking about most recently is, how do we go deeper? And so bringing folks together in these hikes, whether there were 3 of us or 12 of us, and it ranges to whoever can join us in that day. They're always on Fridays. By the way, there's one next Friday, the 16th, if anyone wants to join us. I'll drop my email address in the chat in a bit, and I'm sure Nat will drop in my LinkedIn. But it was really about providing a way for us to come together in a more relaxed environment and just have a casual meetup where the conversations flow and go in so many different amazing directions. Sometimes we talk about business. One conversation that 4 of us had was about the experience of perimenopause and menopause and being medicated or not medicated, and how are you dealing with hot flashes, which is something we do not talk about as women. My mom's never talked to me about it. My aunts never talked to me about it. So just being in community and letting the conversation flow and getting to know each other has been absolutely amazing. And if any of you are out this way at any given time and you're in Vancouver, ping me and see if we have a walk, and you're welcome to join us. And I also welcome you to bring your 4-legged fuzzy creatures, because they bring us joy by doing naughty things like rolling in mud and running into the river. So they make it fun, but also bringing your friends too, so we can introduce them to this community and they can just get a sense of how amazing everyone who is in community with us really truly is. So that's what I get up to out here.
Thanks, Carly. And I think one of the things that I just want to highlight and say a huge thank you to you specifically for is, we love this idea. The Coralus team thinks it's the most phenomenal thing that's happened, and we don't always have the capacity to make these things happen. So Carly saying like, I'm really excited about doing a hike, who wants to join me? And then it becoming this regular touch point for people to get together is so phenomenal and so exciting, and something that can happen anywhere. So if you're deeply inspired by Carly and you want to do this in your own local community, let us know. We are more than happy to help you set it up and to be able to build that same sense of community everywhere. So
thank you for sharing that. I had no idea. So yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks, Carly. The next person that I would like to bring up has done a really unbelievable job of activating our Slack community, getting people to share their asks, their gives, to really build this sense of reciprocity, generosity, and is such a light and joy in the space. Farron, come tell us a little bit about Ask and Give.
Thanks, Nat. Yeah, hoping that the words will come properly, because I could talk about this forever. I kind of figure like now I see like life before Coralus and after Coralus, because like truly learning about radical generosity from all the people here has created such a shift in my life that I cannot I cannot put into words succinctly. So we did one of the things we did this year was Give Week, and it started as a conversation at Tanya and Dana's kitchen table, and I said, you know, I want to see what the ends of radical generosity happen, like where are the edges, like what's the weirdest thing that we can come up with. And so incredible amount of thank you to everyone on the Ask Give Canada circle who worked on this project, and everyone at HQ that put in the time to make a beautiful platform where we all shared. And I will never be over the fact that someone offered 10 avocados, and that was exactly the kind of thing that I wanted to see, because we have so much in this community. It's all about redistributing, and 10 avocados like that is just such a perfect thing for me. And just looking at all of them, like, and hearing from people the different relationships they've built from these little seeds of giving that were really people tapping into what they had in abundance. It was another favorite part for me of the week was all the calls that I got to do where people said, I don't know what to give. And just having conversations where people didn't realize that they actually have superpowers that for them seems easy and for others is incredibly hard. And what a gift that is to be able to use that and offer that to others in the community. We had 409 items offered, which was amazing. And it was really cool to see as the week went that things would beget other things. So once ice cream got put on the list, then you saw like 10 more baked goods offers and hikes and free sessions and all these different magical coming together of people. So I'm so excited to be doing Ask Week in the new year, because that's going to stretch another muscle, and I'm really excited to do some weird stuff with y'all there too. And as Nat has put in the chat, there is a Ask Give global call next week. So I'd love to talk to anyone on there. You got some asks, you got some gives, you want to see radical generosity in action, come play with us. And I'm also going to pop in, there's my Calendly. I always love to talk to people. If we haven't met yet, I would love to meet you and want to talk radical generosity with you and see if I can help you meet your needs and meet some others' needs. So thank you so much for everyone who explored with me and gave space for me to create this for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you, Farron. Thanks so much. Okay. That's all we have on our agenda, but did want to open up the mic. Hands up, whatever you'd like to say. If you want to share something that you thought mattered, something that transformed in you this year. Anything you want to share? I could fill the space, but I don't want to. There's so many people here.
Okay, I'll go.
B.
We're opening up an Linker shop in Vancouver, and I'm super fucking excited that we have a shop front. We'll do live streaming of classes of yoga on lingers, on stretching, strengthening, whatever. We'll stream it, and we actually work together with Second Skin, which is a not made to semi-finalist on the Coralus voting this year. But I was one of the people that put like, I'd like to stay in contact with you. So the Linger is actually going to be on the Second Skin platform, a bit like Peloton, but very much cooler. But I'm super excited.
That's so great. I've always dreamed of like storefront shops or pop-ups. So that's really cool.
And it's a fantastic location, very high foot traffic. It's on 2180 Main Street. So if you're in the area, Wednesdays we're open because we're sharing it with Lycopis traditional archery. Yeah. But Wednesday is the Linker Day in the shop. So if you're here on Wednesday, let me know and then come and see us.
That's so great. Thank you very much, B. Does anyone participate in a small group and want to say how that went for them? Anybody? Judith, come on. Yeah.
A few of us were part of your group, Vicky, and just the pleasure of meeting other activators. And Vicky tracked a beautiful kind of what she wanted to see manifested for us. And we
wait. These are your words. I didn't make them up.
That's right. That's right. She's like rooting for us. She's like our manifestation cheerleader. And then just circling the things that we've seen done, or we've really pushed the ball down the field just by meeting and having conversations with one another. So that was a deep pleasure. And Farron, I saw you give them the cheerleader there. And I think a few people are on the call, if possibly off video as well.
Thanks, Lee.
Hey, Tootie's there. Hello. And I think I saw Shivani as well.
Nice. Judith, how about you?
Thanks. So I was part of Vicky's group, and we had fabulous women in this group, and it resulted for me personally in getting a great recommendation from Vicky for kind of a financial advisor who I just spoke to today. Vicky, she's fabulous. Marlene. And two others offered me some coaching in speaking and putting a presentation together. Very generously. And another woman is putting me up in Vancouver when I'm visiting at Christmas. So
this is literally my favorite thing. You're going through town, stay with people. Why stay in a hotel?
Yeah, my son's like, you're staying where?
Yeah. That's so great.
So I had fun. I had a really good time, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Did I see Denise and Amelia here? You did an event together, is that correct? Are you still here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Hi.
We did an event that was really driven by Denise and Mariko in the summer. That was, around getting the word out for the PNC Ventures. And I'm really glad that was successful. And we're really trying to do this on a more quarterly basis, on a regular basis. And so we did get together last night. It was a smaller get together. We had a lot of last minute cancellations, but hoping to keep it going. And I had a lot of people message me that, the location didn't work or whatever. And so I told everybody, these are very casual. Anybody who has a place and a time or an activity that they want to suggest to just get the word out. And there's, no pressure needed. Nothing's officially sanctioned, just opportunities to get together. So if anybody's in Seattle and wants to be part of this, reach out to me on Slack and let us know what you would like to do.
Thanks so much, Amelia. It's great. Patricia hold on. Okay, Patricia Roberts. Hi.
Hello, Vicki. Hello, everyone. I have been away far too long from these formal calls, and I'm so glad to be back today. But I did want to share informally. I interact from time to time with fellow activators and ventures. Mary Kohler and I just got together when I was in Toronto for another purpose, and Adita Attek and others. We support each other online. But Dia Bondi from the US, as I'm from the US, reached out to me on LinkedIn to say she saw I was an activator. We had a chat. I disclosed to her that I was in the middle of a compensation discussion at my small startup, and she coached me free of charge. And I got an increase that was so much larger than I would have ever asked for due to Dia educating me on how to ask like an auctioneer. So I can't say enough about this group. I'm glad to be back, and I want to be more formally engaged going forward. Today's a good first day to remind myself of that. So thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Patricia. Yeah, that Ask Like an Auctioneer, she's amazing at that. So
amazing.
Lisa Burchards. Hi.
Hi. I just wanted to just say thank you for the small groups. I got to have the privilege of being with Karina Grace, the author of The Weaver's Way, and it ended up being a really small group. There were 3 of us, Karina, myself, and Connie Hansen. And Karina led us through just the most incredibly skillful, beautiful, rich series of discussions on collaborating. And it just opened my heart in so many ways. And I can't tell you what it meant to me to have that experience. And I hope we have more. And also just tremendous gratitude for a wonderful year of support and just the opportunity. Farron, thank you for Give Week. I just made so many beautiful connections from my ask. I made offers, and I just the richness that I've received from the community as I've stepped into somatic stress release, and people that have come to my workshops. It's just been beautiful. So thank you. Just so grateful.
Thanks, Lisa. It's good to see you. Hi, Lenore. How are you? We can't hear you for some reason, but it doesn't look like you're on mute. Type it in the chat. Any lip readers around? Okay. All right, so final 3 minutes. Nat, do you have announcements for what's next?
Carly has her hand up.
Carly.
Is
Sorry,
there something
Carly.
you wanna add quickly before we jump
Okay.
in?
No worries, that's okay. Thanks. Also wanted to let folks know, if they're not in the Slack channel, I am going to do an experiment and host a give for an Ask Me Anything related to my experience. You can all look at my LinkedIn profile for that: brand marketing, business development, all the lovely related things. And I thought if we did it as a group and you brought your questions, we could record it and provide access to those who couldn't make it. But generally I get asked very similar questions. So if anyone wants to join in and participate in that and learn, and hopefully walk away with some tips to accelerate your biz, I am going to be doing that probably the first week of Jan. So I'll put it there, but look out for it if that's of interest to you.
Thanks, Carly. Nat, do you have anything for close or?
I will add just a tiny thing to say thank you all for joining us along this mad adventure this year. The Coralus office officially closes tomorrow. We'll be back in January. Encourage each of you to find your own way to rest and decompress over this holiday season. But there are a couple of events and things that are coming up even in the time that we're off. There's going to be that wonderful Ask Give call next week. There's a hike in Vancouver. You can find all of those things on the events page. And all that to say, hope you have a wonderful break. Vicky, back to you.
Thanks, everyone. So please the link to the year in review. It's kind of fun to just look through it and we've forgotten so many things that we've done. We pack a lot in. So it's nice to just float through that. If you want to post any of that, share it, just look at it and celebrate yourself, because it's been a crazy year, right? And it's a wild time that we're in. So please take care of yourself. Big hugs to all of you. Big love. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here.